Hello and welcome to Minivangelism, the driver's seat, where we talk about the Bible without the kids in the car. Without the kids in the car, if the kids are in the car, let them go do something else. Because today we are talking about ancient mythology,
Dining room chairs.
and dirty laundry.
Ooh, interesting.
We're glad you're here.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Minivangelism, the driver's seat, where we talk about the Bible without the kids in the car. If the kids are in the car, let them go do something else. Because today we're talking about the story of David and Jonathan,
Besties.
besties.
Besties
So,
with the resties.
what version of this story did you inherit?
I got the whole story, but like in parts. Like
Okay.
what we talked about in Minivangelism, we talked about like the whole kind of epic.
Right, it's like multiple chapters that we covered. Really.
Exactly. And I remember learning about like Saul and David's encounter with the harp and the spirit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the arrow, the like shooting of the arrows was like a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I ever heard them like continuously. It was like when I went back to reread the story, then I was like, oh, all these stories are connected.
Yeah.
And they're like right next to each other. I remember in children's church, because the way like the church I grew up in, the way children's church was, it was like a regular church service. Like we sat in rows, we had worship at the beginning, we had a sermon, like all the things. And I remember our children's pastor like pretending to be Saul, and I remember like he would like sit on a throne and then he'd like fall down and like pretend like he was like being attacked by an evil spirit, and then like somebody would like not you made
Yeah.
a face, but it was funny.
Yeah.
And then like somebody would like make harp noises, liar noises. Would make liar noises, and then he would like rest a little bit. And so like I remember that for some reason. I just remember like
great.
that children's sermon. And then I don't know, I never saw a video of it, but I remember pictures of the arrows of like David and Jonathan in the field, and Jonathan shooting the arrows.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember that. And David and Jonathan just being this symbol of friendship, of like what true biblical friendship looks like.
Yeah.
So yeah. What about you?
I don't think I got this story till seminary.
Really?
Yeah. I don't, but in seminary, I got it, like, all of it. Because I took a class from a guy named Bruce Birch, who's, like, a really wonderful and much beloved Old Testament scholar. And his life's work was translating and interpreting 1st and 2nd Samuel. So I took a 1st and 2nd Samuel class with him. And part of what I discovered is, like, oh my gosh, this story is epic. Like,
Yeah.
1st and 2nd Samuel is like a saga of this particular time. And there's so many stories within it that really, like, part of what I like about them is they're just human stories. Like, it's good literature, it's good storytelling. But sometimes it's more like a soap opera than what I associate with Bible stories. And that may be why I didn't get it growing up, because like it's not overtly or immediately about God.
Yeah.
That it's the biblical authors like just tell you the story of this family, this kind of messed up family, or this beautiful friendship within it. But I feel like from that class, it was the story of David and Jonathan that I feel like, oh, I never had that. I'm glad I do now. And then oddly, this story of that happens later where David's son Absalom is a major character and ultimately dies. I think those are stories that I never really noticed because they probably don't get top billing because they're not like overtly about God or about power or people or like who the king is. It's kind of a side quest in the overall story, but I'm really glad that I've got them now.
Yeah. This story, so there's like even in what we covered, we took out like over half of it because there's so much that happens in between, from like Jonathan meeting David to David and Jonathan's separation. There's so much in the interim that happens.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. And we didn't talk about that in Minivangelism. But as I was like rereading the story, the thing I love is that it reminds me so much of like ancient mythology texts.
Exactly.
Like especially the hero's quest. Like, so Saul, the reason he puts David in charge of the armies is because he's hoping that he'll die in battle. Like, he brings him into his court and then he's like, hold on, this guy's going to take my throne. So we're going to send him to war as much as possible. And then like people are going to laugh. But every time we talk about David, we have to talk about the foreskins. So, but that is one of the things. So like Michal, she falls in love with David, right? And she wants to marry him. And David is like, yeah, okay, no, I'm down with this. And Saul is actually the one that proposes the marriage. Like, because Michal goes to Saul and she's like, I love David. I want him. And so Saul's like, great. And he goes to David and he's like, how would you like to be my son-in-law? And like, David has already turned him down once with Michal's sister. But David's like, okay, I'll bite. Sure, I'll be your son-in-law. And then Saul's like, great. Or David's like, I can't because I'm poor. Like, I don't have anything. It's very Hamilton. But he's like, I don't have anything. Like, I don't have a lot of money. I can't pay a bride price. And so Saul's like, oh, well, just give me 100 Philistine foreskins. And like, that's the reason he says that is because he's like, he's going to get himself killed when he goes out to collect these, and David just like shows up with them. Saul's like, damn it.
Again,
now
like a puka necklace.
Yeah. And he's like, damn it, now I got to give him my daughter. You know what I mean? And then like on their honeymoon, like he sends guards in to like kill David in the middle of the night. And David escapes through a window. Like Michal like hides like a dummy in her bed.
Yeah.
and all these things. And so it's like it's reminiscent of like, all of the famous Greek heroes have that. Like Hercules has his 12 labors. Like Perseus has to go and kill Medusa. Like Theseus is sent on all of these like quests to claim their kingship or to claim their rightful. Well, Hercules he's atoning for killing his children and his wife. But like Perseus and Theseus, they're trying to like get their kingship that they owe. What?
No, I'm just laughing at you because you love this kind of literature.
I do.
And I just don't. And so I think I would file it all under the category of friends don't let friends read the Bible alone, because you see things that I'm just like, yada, yada, yada. Get me past this and let's talk about theology. Like, but you're helping us appreciate the literature, as ancient literature.
And the culture in which it's written.
Right. Which is, and where literature is epic. They're long stories. There's plenty of side quests along the way.
Yes.
And part of it is just for the enjoyment of the story.
Yes.
And sometimes it defies, okay, because of this story, here's the moral of the story. That's not really what's going on. It's like, this is the joy of storytelling, or this is the intrigue of literature. And that in itself is something to be appreciated about it.
Well, and I think it legitimizes David's kingship.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like it's that's what it's doing is, right. Like, cause if you just have some guy like sitting on the throne, especially a king like David, who, you know, Israel reveres as like the king of kings, right? Like, as you know, is like the good one. If he's just some dude that walks in and takes over, even if he like just walked in, killed Saul and took over, right? Like, that's what all of the kings did back then. But to have this guy who is like going on all these epic side quests and is elevated, like elevated culturally on the same level as like the heroes of the day in other cultures, like, I don't know, it just gives him some legitimacy.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that that's just something to note about what the Bible is and what it means for us. Because if you're just going to sit down and say, God, I need some inspiration, and you flip to one of these pages, you're going to be either disappointed or highly confused, or you're going to find yourself flipping through it like a great novel.
Yes, it's such a good story.
Right. And so I just think that's in the spirit of helping people experience the Bible. This is part of what the Bible gives us. It's not just little proverbs that tell you something that's nice to reflect about. It's also very rich literature, which is of its time. And I think you're right to notice that what the biblical authors are doing with this relatively insignificant people in an ancient culture is they're saying, we've got heroes too.
Yes.
And our heroes are heroes not because they are gods, but because they belong to God.
Right.
And that's one of the ways in which this is literature that competes with other literature of the day, but in the way that other literature of the day is talking about a pantheon of gods, this literature is using the same genre to tell us about the God of the Jews.
And the difference is you have this one God who is consistent. You have this one God who is not evil.
Yeah.
As opposed to
not as capricious or conniving.
Yeah, or just rapey like Zeus. You know what I mean? Like
thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God. Like you have faulty heroes, which is the same, but the God is very different. You still have a God that is going to bless and not punish. I mean, talk to Saul about that, but you know what I mean? Like you have this one God who
a different kind of God, for sure.
Exactly. So I just think that's cool.
Yeah, which is how literature like this is also theology.
Yes.
Like
see.
Yes. So I'm not adding you. I'm confessing that when I come to the Bible, it's like, tell me something about God and make it quick. And but what this story says is, I will tell you about something about God, but give me a month. I
need the Andy Cohen Bravo special about the biblical heroes.
Yes.
Like I want the reunion episode where drinks are getting thrown.
Exactly.
And security stepping in.
And your spinoff podcast is going to be a long form podcast looking at episode 1 through 336 of Breaking Bad, where David is the main character. Like,
yes,
it could stand up to that kind of treatment.
Yes.
And again, that's why friends don't let friends read the Bible alone, because it's not necessarily what we assume about the Bible, but lo and behold, the Bible has that too.
Yeah.
Which is, again, I'm just like a cheerleader for the Bible, and also a guide that's going to say, when you go over there, it's a very different part of the amusement park. You know, like yes. Go with it, you know.
Yeah. I saw an Instagram recently that was like me turning to the Bible for inspiration and opening up to one of the like genealogy chapters.
Yeah.
And it's just like a guy like modeling like, yeah, here I am.
Yeah. And when you get to something like this and say like, what the hell does this have to do with God? That's the right question. Because even though it looks like an ancient epic, the part of its purpose is to say something about God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what makes you uncomfortable about the story?
Well, one thing, it's not really uncomfortable, but one thing that's interesting about the story is the degree to which their friendship language, the language about friendship around David and Jonathan, looks to us like romantic language.
Yes.
And so like
and they were roommates.
The quiet exactly. The quiet part that actually is more and more being said out loud is they look like lovers. And whether or not that, I mean, I also think in the literature of the day, big poetic romantic language about friends that are not romantic friends, there's precedent for that. But I also think, especially in the modern era, members of the LGBTQ community have looked at this and said, I know that kind of love too. And it's something deeper than just my friend. It's what if we go ahead and let them be a romantic couple?
Right.
Do we lose anything about God? And the LGBTQ community is going to say, no, we actually see something about God. So that's one thing that has been, I think, kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I think historically has probably made the church uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, and once again, in contemporary literature of the time, the big heroes, that was like Achilles and Patroclus, like that was there in the Iliad. I should probably cite that. Like they, like all of history has been like, they were best friends. And then a lot of people are like, nope. They were more than that. You know, and so like, yeah, I agree that I have read some commentaries that are just like, oh no, they were together. But then I've also read others, like I was reading in a study Bible last night and they were like, it's not romantic, it's political affiliation. Like they removed like even the personal love. They were like, David or Jonathan is just politics. It's just politics. Which I think is too far. I think that there is like a personal, deep friendship, love.
Yeah. And
platonic or romantic. Like it's not just a political maneuver.
Right. And I mean, humans being humans, there's no such thing as just politics.
Right.
Or just business.
Right.
You know, and there's also nothing wrong with saying it is deep friendship or romance and there are political implications going on.
Yes.
I mean, that's part of what makes good stories.
Yeah.
The political intrigue that comes with real human relationships as well. So it's messy. I think it's supposed to be, and it makes it fun to talk about.
I love mess. It's just my favorite.
What makes you uncomfortable about it?
I think the thing that makes me uncomfortable is very similar to the Ruth and Naomi story in our last episode, is that Jonathan seems way more into David than David is into Jonathan.
Ooh.
Until Jonathan dies.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the middle, like it's like in this story, it's just a lot of like Jonathan declaring his love for David. You know what I mean? And like even in the introduction, it's like Jonathan falls in love with David, or like, you know, Jonathan sees David and he's like immediately like knit together with him, but David's not reciprocating. And then like Jonathan pledges this allegiance and they go and they, you know, he like swears this covenant and he's giving his armor. And then when David goes to Jonathan and is like, I think your dad's trying to kill me, he's reminding him of the covenant, but there's not like a, I love you, man.
Yeah.
Like it's a, remember that promise you made to me? And I don't know. I feel for Jonathan a little bit. But fast forward to the next book when Jonathan dies, David does sing this like beautiful song about Jonathan and his love for him. But once again, it's more of like his love for me. Like, but you know, he sings about it, and then eventually, he adopts Jonathan's son, who's crippled, and like I don't know. I just think that's another beautiful story, but that we can talk about that later.
I love that.
It's a beautiful story.
I love that. I think that's really insightful, and I think that is part of a character analysis of David that we can probably do. Is I do think that as the story continues, there's David the warrior, political king type. And David the human.
Yes.
And we get to see both. But like part of the analysis that you just mentioned is David, yes, he loves Jonathan. Yes, they're friends. And also David is trying to figure out how to make this king thing happen.
Right.
And trying to survive.
Right.
So there's an order of priorities that sometimes one is is in the foreground and sometimes it's the other. Same thing happens with his son Absalom later, like because Absalom turns on him, they're in battle, but when Absalom is actually slain, human David's heart breaks so profoundly. And so we see that if it's just politics, Absalom's got to go. If it's just politics, I don't need Jonathan, I need the throne. But at the same time, part of what the story reveals is you can't get away from the personal realities of things too. And I think that's, I mean, thanks for making me think that, because I think part of what that, again, part of what it shows the Bible is doing is painting a true picture of humanity. Yeah.
And another way that you see is Saul is sending David into battle and like explicitly says, I'm sending him into battle in the hopes that he will die.
Right.
And I was like, God, that sounds so familiar. Where have I heard that story before? Oh, wait, it's because David does the same thing.
Yes.
When he rapes Bathsheba and then, like, you know, she ends up pregnant. He's like, well, I'm going to send her husband out to battle. And like her husband does die. And like, you know, so David's like pulling the same tricks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, well, I wonder where he got that idea from.
Right. And in that light, there's one way to read the whole story as a story of absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
That part of, if you follow David the politician through, it's in the context of being a politician that he does some of the worst things. And all of that for me goes back to the beginning of the book where the people demand a king so they can be like the other nations. And the prophet Samuel says, you don't want what you're asking for because implicitly absolute power corrupts. Like if you want a human king like the other nations, you're going to get one that just takes what isn't his. And the power will become like a drug, and they have to have it, and they have to exercise it, and people die.
Yeah.
So there's one way to read the whole story, that God is willing to acquiesce and let you have a king, but none of your kings are going to be what you want them to be or what I want them to be. But behold, I will still bring good out of it. So even though David is lauded as this wonderful king, the Bible gives you the whole true story.
Yeah.
And part of what we see is God remaining faithful even to corrupt politicians for the purpose of sustaining God's own plan, God's own mission for this people through time. We don't get, though, a king with no political ambition really until like Jesus.
Right.
Through the Bible, the kings, there's some that are decent, most are terrible. And so but the irony is that like we still have people writing books about leadership.
Yeah.
And looking at David's leadership. And I don't think necessarily it's certainly not the primary task of the biblical authors. They're not saying this is how to be a good leader, because they tell the truth about David, that he's ends up being self-serving and politically shrewd. And he gets his heart broken in the midst of it too.
Yeah.
So rich, so many different ways to take it.
I know, and I love it.
Yeah.
I just love it so much.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the whole, our theme for this week, because we can talk about David a lot. But Jonathan.
Yeah.
And Jonathan's, just his character as a whole, and like who he is in the story. We got Palmer's take on like, where is God in the story? And he's like, God is in Jonathan, right? Or just in the meeting of the two, like in the friendship itself. But where do you think God is in the story of David and Jonathan specifically?
Well, I mean, we've talked before about like when Jesus tells parables, the way to know where God is in the story is the one who suffers. And I think that's another reason why like Jonathan is the closest thing to a Christ character that we have in the story. And if you look at all the characters, who's the least flawed? It's Jonathan. His love is pretty pure and all encompassing. And it means that he's willing to sacrifice the relationship in order to preserve the other, to sacrifice his own sense of love in order to preserve the other. If we look at the whole Bible, it turns out that that's what God is like. And so there's an extent to which, and this probably happens in hero literature too, that the real hero of the story is the one who sacrifices for the sake of the flawed character. That Jonathan is the real hero that lets David become king by protecting him. And again, I think that we see that made flesh again in Jesus, who's willing to lay down his life for the sake of others. But what about you? Do you see God elsewhere?
No, I think what it made me think of is when Palmer just talked about how God kind of orchestrates friendships. So I have this, and this may be a really horrible theological take, but I don't care. I like to believe that we have a timeline, right? Like our life is a timeline, and God intentionally puts people on the timeline that are going to help it continue. And I have witnessed that in my own life so often, especially because we have moved so frequently. Like there are just people that are, I can only say we're placed there by God. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason for us to be friends. There's no reason for our paths to cross. Like if you look at the two, like the two journeys of these two individuals, like we shouldn't have crossed paths at any point, but just through a series of circumstances, like here we are, and now we're journeying together. And our timelines are parallel, you know, like I don't know, like I see that here, like when David is brought to Saul's court and Jonathan being there and it just being that connection. Like I think that was like God moved Jonathan's spirit to be like, you need to be on this person's timeline. And just appreciating those people that get put there. That's where I see God in the story.
Yeah. And theologian Stanley Hauerwas says, among the many gifts that comes with a life of faith is that you get friends you would otherwise never have met.
Yeah.
And friendships that you can't explain other than the fact that you were both seeking God and bumped into each other.
Yeah.
So God gets the credit for that. That friendship as a means of grace is a way that God shows up for us, and offers us what we need along the way.
Yeah. And you may not see it immediately. Like, why do I need this person in my life? You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're just a cool person and I just like hanging out with them. But like, eventually when you look back on it, you're like, oh no, I needed this person. Like I needed them. I mentioned my friend Maggie in Minivangelism. Like she was my first friend that I made in Texas. And we moved out there. I was a brand new Army wife. I was 8 months pregnant. I didn't have a job. I'm 1,000 miles away from my family. And like our third night in Texas, her husband was in the same unit as my husband. They invited us over for dinner. And I walked into her house. She had just had a baby. So she had 3 kids. And so she just had her third. And I sat on her couch and we literally stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning talking with each other. And like, she was just giving me just all of this information, and we were like, our personalities just clicked and we laughed and we were like, yes, anding, you know what I mean? It was amazing. And then it was like all of the grief that I had had up to that point just disappeared. And it was like, it was a God moment sitting on this stranger's couch. And it was, and our lives have been interlinked since then. You know what I mean? Like we still talk, we're still friends. And, you know, like that was obvious, like God answering a prayer. But then there have just been other friends where I have just instantly connected with, and I don't see it immediately. You know what I mean? But like if you were to like sit me down and like list all of my friends and be like, okay, why do you think God put this person in your life? If I like actually thought about it, I could give you an answer for every single person. But sometimes it's just not as obvious.
And there's in like Christian spirituality, like Ignatian spirituality includes doing like a daily examine, which is like just sitting down and thinking about your day. And the question is like, where did God show up? And I feel like that's part of the invitation is to, for us is to know God is to notice the people and occasions in your day or in your life where you've been blessed. And then to ponder, oh, is that what God is like?
Yeah.
God is like the friend who out of nowhere shows up and is willing to be a vessel for my grief, you know?
Yeah.
That turns out that's what God is like.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what the stories do. They populate our imagination with the kind of love that we're told to expect from God, and helps us also interpret the epic saga that is our own lives, and notice where a side quest wasn't just a side quest, you know. it was an encounter with God.
Yeah.
And to trust that those are waiting for us ahead as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's not just so that we can be a hero, you know, like it's not look at David's story so that you can hack your life and end up on top. It's look at David's story so that you can believe in the God who really is the hero. Who ultimately ends up being more like Jonathan and Jesus than David.
Right. And it's not just about, Jonathan wasn't there to get David to the kingship. Jonathan was just there for survival.
Right.
And I think like that's...
The survival comes in handy.
It does. And I think like in our own lives, like who are those friends that like we can credit with our survival?
Yeah.
You know? Okay. What is the mark of a true friend for you? Like, how do you know in your mind, you're like, that's a best friend right there.
Has something to do with sandwiches, I think. Someone who will make me a sandwich or split a sandwich. No. I think it's vulnerability. Like, I think part of the mark of a true friend is somebody who you don't have to be king with them. You know, you can be David the dirtbag, and they'll still be there.
Yeah.
That and someone who can receive your vulnerability. I think that's a big part of it. What about you?
So I have 2 tests for like true friendship.
Yeah.
The first is the dining room test. So you have eaten at my house. My dining room chairs are not comfortable. If you sit in them for too long, your butt falls asleep. Like, it's not comfortable.
Sometimes my butt needs a nap though. So it's okay.
But every time people get up, they like walk like a baby deer. But I have found that true, like, people that I'm like, oh, these are my people, these are my friends, are people that I have sat at that table with and we haven't gotten up because we don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And you're just like that presence around the dining room in the uncomfortable chair. Like, we're all uncomfortable. I should get new dining room furniture. But like, we're all uncomfortable, but it's still our presence is more important. So that's one. The second is the laundry test. So like, if I'm sitting on the couch folding laundry and this person comes over to my house, do I feel like I need to put the laundry away? I knew that I had hit best friend level friendship with your wife when I went over to you guys' house and there was a pile of laundry on the couch and she was like, just move it over. And I was like, well, I'll fold it. You know, like I just don't fold underwear unless you've had surgery. But like, you know what I mean? And like, there have been times where they've come over to my house and I've been like, or y'all have come over to my house and I'm like, well, it's a mess, but you know what? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have to clean up for them, like you said, I don't have to be a hero. And in today's modern world, being a hero is having a perfect house, you know? Like, if I don't have to clean up for you, like that's a mark of true friendship, I think.
I have 3 responses. One is my wife does consider you a very close friend. And also, she doesn't move laundry for anybody. So, neither of us do. Love it or leave it. The second is the next time we're at that dining room table and I get up, I might just be taking care of my butt. It's not an end of our friendship. So please just offer me some grace on that.
Well, that's why, like, last time we were at our house, my husband was like, do y'all want to go outside? Because like all of us were uncomfortable.
It's fine. The third is that I think those are decent analogies for like the state of our theology. If you imagine God coming to your house and you mentally rush to put away the laundry, like, hear the good news. That is not the kind of friend that God is. That God genuinely is the kind of friend who wants to fold your laundry and wants to hold your grief and will not get uncomfortable in your chairs. Like, I think it's a good test for whether you know the God that really is God. Now, out of honor and respect and love, we would tidy up if Jesus was coming over. Yeah. But like, it makes me think of the story of Mary and Martha. Like, there's something about the Martha impulse that is, in order for this person to like me, I've got to have everything put together. But Jesus seems to opt for Mary style friendship, where I just really want to be with you. And I'm here to fold the laundry. Like, I'm here to do the stuff that actually helps. Yeah. I'm not showing up so you can serve me. I'm showing up so that I can serve you. And I think that may be a gift to ponder is in the story of Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house today.
Yeah.
Do you panic? Or are you as excited as if you heard that your best friend was going to stop by? Mm-hmm. The love that is available to you is the best friend love, not landlord love.
Yeah.
And it's funny because so we live in a house that's owned by the church.
Yeah.
Which means like our landlord is my congregants who out of generosity like come over and fix things or come, and if there's something that has to be fixed, like they will wait in our house for the person so that Allie and I can still be at work. But it means that we have had to make choices about whether or not we're going to care about the state of the house that they walk into. And there's this silent knowledge that they may have seen mess that we would clean up even for our best friends, but we're not going to clean up for them.
Right.
Or the panic before they come over to say like, oh, I don't want them to know that last week's dishes are still out. You know, there's, and I think some of that is relevant to what this story is trying to tell us about friendship, and what all the friendship stories are trying to tell us is that God is actually more like the real friend.
Yeah.
Than the landlord. And in our context, like we have to rely on we have to trust and believe that these church members and coworkers that are coming over to the house will not judge us, or will at least keep their judgments to themselves.
Yeah.
That what they want to do is to give us a home that we can live in. Mm-hmm. That's part of the invitation to faith.
Right.
Is to believe that actually our God is a laundry folding God, and not just a landlord.
Yeah. I think the other thing that bothers me about this story, or just makes me sad, is the ending.
Yeah.
That they never see each other ever again. And it, like, I don't know. I got, like, even last night, even now, like, thinking about it, I'm just hormonal, but, like, I was thinking about, like, having to say goodbye and not knowing if you're ever going to see this person ever again. Yeah. Because I've experienced that.
Right.
And it just like brought up a lot of feelings of like, yeah, we live in an age of technology where we can still see other people and, you know, we can FaceTime and we can call and we can text, but it's different. Yeah. It's not the same when you're not like Maggie lived 2 streets over. My friend Eric, like he was 2 doors down from me in the hallway. Because we were coworkers. And like, I just remember that day when we said goodbye to their families, like, it's just the uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And like when David and Jonathan part ways, like they don't know that they're never going to see each other ever again, but it's kind of understood. Right. Like that's a possibility. And it just breaks my heart for them. And still, God is God and God is present, and the friendship and the love didn't fade. The relationship did not fade, even though they were not physically present with one another. Mm-hmm. And when Jonathan's son is presented to David, you know, like his love for Jonathan is still just as deep. It's still just as strong. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It affected me pretty deeply.
Yeah, I think that's good. Is it okay if I bring up Andy Root again?
Do it. I don't think you've brought him up on this podcast.
Oh, really?
So
well,
you bring him up.
He's one of my favorite scholars right now. He just came out with a book that I can't wait to read. That is, it's not called. It's something called like a pilgrimage into. It's a pilgrimage into something, but the subtitle or the title I have in my head is The Art of Saying Goodbye. Mm-hmm. And part of what he contends is that, and he points to some theologians that have said this, is part of what the Bible shows us is that to be human is to have to endure goodbyes. Mm-hmm. And there's a long list of kinds of goodbyes that we're talking about here. But part of his overall point is that that part of what we're told about God is that God is the one who comes to our goodbyes and says hello. Who leads us from the brokenhearted goodbye into what's next. And in one way, like that's why Christians talk about heaven, is because part of the Bible's association with it and part of our hopes is that we will be reunited. But I think even that is just an analogy, that it may be that the person you miss the most, you will get to see them in heaven and reignite that friendship. I think that what is promised is actually probably even better than that, but it is like that. That the healing of the broken heart of the goodbye is what's promised in this life and the next. And faith is waiting for the hello that shows up here or then. But that in that book, he went on a pilgrimage with his wife and their 2 teenage kids right before their eldest went off to college.
Okay.
And part of what he's writing about is the reality that to be human is to say goodbye or to let go. And that in our culture, we don't like to do that. We don't want to do that. We come up with all this technology so that we never have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And he's actually saying what they experienced on this pilgrimage is like intentionally walking into that and saying, okay, this is where we say goodbye to our son. He tells a story of they were on this pilgrimage walk. He tells the story of his wife tells, or I guess she tells it, but I haven't read it yet. I've only heard them talk about it, of their teenage son being paces ahead of them the whole time. And, but at some point he outpaced them to the point that she couldn't see him anymore. And she experienced it as an encounter with God to say, we are still both on the same path. I can't see him, but we are both still on this pilgrimage. Like, so God can see him. And I think, I mean, I can't wait to read that book, but it's what I think of when you talk about doing that. Like, to be people of faith is not to say, oh, don't feel brokenhearted. You'll see him later. Or like, don't worry about it. It's to say, like, of course that breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And, our God is the one who shows up when you're in tears over having to say goodbye and folds your laundry.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's in part, it's part of what it means to be human, to be a people that have to say goodbye to actual friends, to the way things were, to parts of ourselves that have to go. I've even heard like people that talk about addiction, talk about like, I know that I need to quit doing this, but you don't understand, this drug is my best friend.
Yeah.
And so part of what has to happen in recovery is you have to say goodbye to that friend.
Yeah.
For your own survival. So I think you've hit on something that's true to this story and true to human life. Yeah. That's deep.
Just FYI, we're never saying goodbye, because your wife and I already have made retirement plans with another friend of ours. We have already planned our, because we've just decided that we're going to outlive you and my husband. And so like, we're going to outlive our husband. So we've already got like our cougar ranch ready to go.
Have a great time.
It's going to be fantastic. We'll remember you. So you'll stay in our memories forever. All right. I have a question.
I don't care.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because we're best friends. Yeah. Are
Yes.
you comfortable admitting that we're best
Yes.
friends? Yeah. Who's David and who's Jonathan?
I don't know if
You were putting this on the internet forever, and I will get my feelings hurt if you answer this question wrong, because there's only one right answer.
Yeah, you're Jonathan, I'm David. Because you're the one that like.
Because I care about you so much more than you care. I'm just kidding.
and because sometimes I'm too busy to be cared about. I gotta go get some foreskins. I can't talk to you right now. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it changes.
I'm royalty.
Yes.
And you are. Everybody's wondering how you got the position that you did.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to try to pivot now.
Okay.
I think, but like in a real relationship, like at different times it changes. So
yes.
Just like sometimes you're the Ruth, I'm the Naomi. Sometimes that changes. I think the same is true for real friendship. That I'm willing to sacrifice for you to be able to do this, or I need you to sacrifice so that I can go do this. That's part of the constancy and the mutuality of real friendship.
I think I'm the David and you're the Jonathan because once again we've already established I will outlive you.
Yes. That is fine.
But I'll take care of your kids.
Yeah. Go get that throne, babe. But you'll take care of my kids. That's good news too.
Yeah. So how are you speaking of your kids, how are you gonna talk to them about this story?
I think one of the things that's interesting, one of the reasons I'm glad that we're giving this story and doing this Bible Besties series is because friendship for children is a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Of big feelings and broken hearts and oh my gosh, I mean it's bringing up memories of when I was going through the gauntlet myself, but having kids try to navigate friendship, I have compassion for them because it's a war zone out there.
Yeah.
And the question, like, even just who's your bestie, like that is a loaded question, man. And like broken hearts at the end of a sleepover, like they're real. And what are you willing to do for your friends and what are you not? And what does true friendship look like? That question, if they were your real friend, they would those kinds of conversations are intense. So how do I want to talk about? I think I just want to keep talking to my kids about it.
Yeah.
And be able to show them stories like this of the kind of love that happens in real friendship. That is also what God is like. What about you?
Same. Yeah. Just like showing them that friendship is a way. I consider friendship almost like a sacrament.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is if you want to see what God is like, if you want to feel God's presence, like be present in your friendships.
Right. It's one of the primary ways that we experience it. Yeah.
Yeah. And having my kids reflect on not just appreciating their friends, but how can we be a good friend?
Sure.
And I kind of brought that up at the end of Minivangelism because we were talking about like finding your Jonathan, but like how are we going to be a Jonathan
Sure.
to our David and stepping aside and letting our friend shine, especially because we have daughters, you know what I mean? And like I grew up in a culture where, just early aughts as a teenage girl, where girls were being pitted against one another. And I think that there's definitely a shift among millennial parents of like, we want our daughters to empower one another. We want them to build each other up, right? Like a good girl or a good woman is like one that fixes another woman's crown without like bringing attention to it. You know what I mean? And so like, how do you have good, strong female friendships that are just nothing but love and nothing but support? And I think this is one of those stories, right? Where Jonathan is like literally giving up his crown for David.
Yeah. I also think I want to help parents by telling them that you do not get to control that.
Yes.
And like...
Yes, but I'm going to try to.
Go for it. And we don't actually have the power to prevent other people from breaking our kids' heart. Or to prevent our kids from breaking other kids' hearts.
Yeah, but I'm going to do my best to make sure my kid's not a dick. Like...
Yeah. Yeah, and
that's not going to work all the time. I have seen my kid be rude to other kids, right? Like, I get that, but when I see it, I acknowledge it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And guide them.
Right. But I also, there's a degree to which parenting as person craft is dangerous to the parent and to the kid.
Yes.
And so part of it is, I think, being able to be a friend to your kid as they go through the war zone of relationships. of knowing that sometimes they're going to be the David, sometimes they're going to be the Jonathan, sometimes they're going to be Saul.
Yeah.
And as God is God of all, we get to be friend through it all. And especially not let our kid behaving like Saul make us suddenly means that the conclusion is we're a bad parent.
Yeah.
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 All right.
But it's just being like aware of it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think that's fair. And I think I'm just testifying to the pressure that I feel. I mean, I like pastors' kids. Like, I had to let go quickly of an idea that, like, the pastor's kids need to be the best behaved kids in the room. As you're very much aware, like, we can't offer that. So.
My kids neither. But at the same time, like you said, we are navigating, especially because we talked about this last week. We have tween girls now, and we are navigating an emotional minefield.
Right.
Where everybody is starting to have big feelings, both about themselves and about other people.
Yeah.
And the least I can do is just encourage mindfulness in my children. You know what I mean? And especially like if you find a close friend, foster that friendship, right? But you don't have to be friends with everybody either. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like understand what that friendship is. And because there is also a pressure to be friends with everybody and like letting them know, like, you don't have to be friends with everybody.
Right.
I mean, you can be friendly, but you don't have to be David. You don't have to be the Jonathan to everybody's David.
Yeah.
I think one of the best examples of David and Jonathan friendship is our second-born children. My second-born is the Jonathan to your second-born's David. Because my second-born would follow your second-born into literal fire if asked.
Yeah, and I think my second-born is a Philistine. So,
but I love watching the two of them play together because it is the most effortless friendship I have ever watched.
Because David doesn't even know what's going on.
No, Jonathan's just like, whatever, let's go. And then every now and then David will be like, you ready to do this? And Jonathan's like, yeah, let's go.
That's great.
I just like, if I could just film that and then like use that to teach this Bible lesson to other kids.
I love it.
Yeah.
At the risk of making this episode go too long, what you were just talking about, though, do you realize the degree to which like it's relevant to the faith versus works conversation?
No.
We do, or even the law gospel conversation. Like, we as parents do have a responsibility for moral formation.
Yes.
And part of what the church can tell us, part of what Jesus wants us to remember, is that our capacity for moral formation is limited.
Yes.
And our children are their own people. And so even our best attempts at moral formation can actually be something they reject. And we do not get the outcome that we want. And what love is like is not only the love that forms you as a moral character, but also it's also what sticks around when you suck.
Yeah.
And it means that the stakes don't have to be incredibly high for parents. I feel like at a church named Grace, this is something that I feel compelled to say all the time. Yes, you have responsibility for moral formation for your children, and your children's moral character is not a reflection entirely on you.
No. But I think if I could just summarize everything that I was trying to say until you decided to interrupt me and just pee all over what I had to say.
I thought we were having a conversation.
Sure. So I'm just kidding. Is last week you mentioned you like having biblical language with your children, right? Like that you can point to stories in the Bible that are relating to what's going on.
Yeah.
I think because friendship is such a huge part of childhood, this story and these names and them knowing these names is important to have.
That's good.
So I'm just going to cut the last 5 minutes conversation that we just had, and I'm just going to say that, and that's going to be it.
Be my guest.
Thanks, David.
No, I will be your Jonathan and let you live your life.
No, I was talking about our editor. Thank you for cutting this.
Oh. That's good.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We hope you got something out of it, and we hope that you'll be able to join us next time. In the meantime, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and all those things. Leave us a review if you want. Send us an email with your questions or ideas. And also let us know if you've got a kid in your life who would enjoy being on the show, because we're always looking for kid hosts. Where should they send that email? To minivangelism@gmail.com. Anything I forgot?
No.
Okay, good.
You did it.
All right. It's not my strong suit, but I got it done. God bless you all. I hope you've got a friend. And because God is God, you do have a friend.
I love that.
Amen. Bye.
All right, bye.
Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are hosted by Anna Burrell and Drew Colby. Theme song written by David Burrell and produced by Evan Setzer. The theme song was performed by David Burrell, Drew Colby, and Evan Setzer. Podcast, sound design, and editing done by David Burrell. Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are a ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Manassas, Virginia. For more information, check out umcgrace.org.
Seriously, what was that?